Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Girls Lounge podcast with your hosts, Liz and KT. And today we're back with a part 2 of the things we don't understand. Go ahead and listen to part 1 if you haven't already. It was a pretty good episode and we didn't do it that long ago. But before we get into everything, a little housekeeping. I just want to say, before you get into the episode, make sure you're following our social medias. We have really been trying recently to step up our game on Instagram and TikTok, and that is always linked down below. And then in real time that we're filming this, the announcement hasn't come out yet, but by the time this episode is out, it will be out yet. But we're doing kind of like a little mini book club. We're going to test it out. And the book we're going to be reading is Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. It's a quick little memoir. We're going to read it in October. I don't know. Go look for the details for the exact episode date on our Instagram. But yeah, we're going to be reading that book. So if you want to, kind of like read it along with me and Liz and like feel like having a book club by the time the episode airs, make sure you guys start reading it now. Buy it now. This is your sign to do that. But yeah, we're really excited to kind of introduce a mini book club. So I decided let's get that out the way at the beginning of the episode.
Yes, and this has been a book that's been on both of our TBRs for the longest time, and we just keep on like putting it off. So this is our sign and your sign if you've also been meaning to read this book, to go ahead and start it and we can just talk about it, see how it goes. We've heard lots of good things, so surely it turns out to be good.
Yes, and perfect for our first book club book. But now we're going to get into our life updates. Don't mind me if my life updates are just kind of like rambles for like the upcoming year, because like literally my life is just school. So my first little life update thought I've had is I'm just trying to practice grounding myself through the Bible. I actually just got this Bible study journal that's gonna help me like read the Bible and like guiding me through it, because it can be very overwhelming. And I'm gonna like start that tomorrow and just practicing the let them theory without saying any names, because I'm not trying to get doxxed or like fired from a future job that I don't even have yet. But because of certain events, it just really just has me, I don't know, every time something political happens, it always just like I like get myself worked up too much about it, in the sense of like I single-handedly can't change people's minds in this world. So I can get very like upset about it and just really like take on the feelings, which is like good that I'm feeling like sad, because obviously things are not right in this country right now and around the world. So just, practicing the let them theory and just believe, I can't let other people's thoughts and hatred consume me, because I'm not that way. So I'm really trying to practice that and just be like, the Bible, like the word is the word. And listen, if some people are interpreting that the wrong way, then I can't let that over consume me. And then a complete 180 from that, I fear I'm going to become one of those clean ingredient girlies. And this thought came about because recently we got some Jenny's ice cream from Publix, and I was like, ugh, like it tastes so good, but I just know this is going to make my stomach hurt. And then lo and behold, it didn't make my stomach hurt, because sometimes dairy doesn't sit well with me, And I was looking, I was like, oh, it's grass-grazed milk. And I'm like, I don't really know what that means, but like, does that make a difference? That's like part of the whole like clean, like eating clean. And honestly, when I hear that stuff, I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, I don't care. Like, I've made it to 22 years without all that stuff, and I'm completely fine. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And I was just like, wait, maybe eating clean is in my future. Like, maybe I can live a life to eat yummy stuff and my stomach doesn't hurt. But we'll see. And then, and another thing is I tried out a Native product for the first time. Just their body wash, just because I was feeling bored with my, like, hygiene routine, I guess you can say, and it smells really good. I'm like, wait, this like feels really nice. It's not irritating my skin, because I have really sensitive skin. So I was like, oh, like this is nice to like kind of try more clean ingredient products, because I usually don't. I feel like my mom is usually one to like, oh, like this is clean ingredients, blah blah blah. But I'm just like, whatever. That's a whole bunch of hoopla. But I'm like, wait, I might actually become one of those people. Not to the max though. Like, I'm not gonna become like one of those like crunchy granola people. Never, never. Like, I love Red 40. But yeah, that was a little that I had. And then last, another complete 180. You guys, I think I do want to start a business. So make sure you love this podcast, so then I can just make clothing and other things for the podcast and live my dream life. And that's my update for you guys.
So basically, Kenny's just like changing everything about her life and doing a 180 with everything that she currently does.
Exactly that.
And then for me, I'm also kind of like vibing with Kennedy's like 180, and it's time for me to get out of this mental funk that I've been in. I feel like my brain has just been playing games with me recently, and I'm getting out of it. So I'm taking steps. I'm gonna start like implementing new like routine, waking up earlier, doing like just more routinely stuff and things from. I'm actually going to order today my Amazon coloring books. I'm going to order my coloring supplies and everything, just like small things to get out of the mental funk that I feel like I've been in recently. I feel like it'll be really nice for myself. And then the other day I bought myself a little like notebook, and I kind of want to do like some, again, I'm just Kennedy, I am influenced by her. What can I say? I'm doing like a little like Bible reading type thing, like scripture reading thing. And I got like a little cute notebook because I was like, if it's a cute notebook, it'll mean I'll like want to open it and like do it. That's my thought process. And then I got a planner because I'm going to start like just planning things out and like really just getting it back together and doing things that are good for myself. My plan is to start all this like Sunday, Monday, like new week, new routine. So yeah, I'm gonna stick to it, and I'm gonna have the podcast hold me accountable in these little life updates. And then my other little thing is just this week actually flew by. I swear it was just Monday yesterday, and now when we're recording, it's Friday. So yeah, I don't remember anything else about this week. It truly just flew by.
No, and hence why my intro this week was just a bunch of random things. Cause like, what did I even do this week? Like, it just went by so fast. I was really just like at my desk the whole week. It felt like, and honestly, with all these 180s we want to do, it's honestly like it's because new season means new change, and it's like perfect for Elizabeth too, because she says Sunday, Monday, and Monday is the first day of autumn, so it's the perfect time to enter new changes.
I did not realize it's officially going to be fall. Yeah, exactly. New season, new changes, new routine, new us.
That part. And then next, we're going to get into our faves of the week. So mine is a podcast. It's a spooky podcast. I don't know. I just really love spooky, creepy things. And it's this podcast called Two Girls, One Ghost. And then, I mean, it's a basically exactly what it sounds. They talk about hauntings. They listen to reader like write-ins. And the episodes that really got me were the ones about the Appalachian Mountains. I don't know. I hear both pronunciations. But yeah, that region, and why that obviously interests me is because me and Liz, we live in Kentucky, and a part of it is like in eastern Kentucky. So just hearing like the lore behind it is like really crazy. It's actually kind of crazy because this morning I ended up being up earlier than I thought, and I was like, well, 6 a.m. might as well watch a episode about the lore on these mountains, and that's what I did. And yeah, it's just so interesting. And I'm really into like ghosts and stuff like that. I don't want to say I like really, believe in it, but I'm an open mind to it. If you're not new here, I love Sam and Colby. So I know I just love spooky ghost stuff. As long as it's happening to other people and not me.
We'll see. We'll see how Kennedy feels if anything ever were to, switch places. I'll knock on wood for you. And then honestly, I might have to like check out that podcast. I feel like it'll set the scene, a little like spooky evening coloring and everything. Yeah, that sounds like a perfect night to me.
I'm scared you're gonna get scared.
I'll see how it goes. Um, if you don't know anything about me, I don't really like horror movies. Like, I don't go out of my way to watch them. I'll watch them with other people, but I'll never deliberately go watch one. So that's like Kitty said that. And then my favorite of the week is baking. I did this once like 2 weeks ago, and then this week when I was getting out of my little funk, I was like, okay, let me do this again. And it's just so peaceful. You just put on like a little playlist, a little podcast or something, and you just bake something, and then you get to eat it afterwards. So it's a win-win situation. And I highly, highly recommend Broma Bakery. She has a TikTok, I was gonna say TikTok channel, but she has a TikTok, I don't know. She has an account on TikTok where she makes videos, and then she also has like links to her recipes. And the two recipes that I've done from her have turned out perfect. Like, so sometimes I feel like you put stuff in the oven and it doesn't cook right, it doesn't taste good, it like burns. But no, I've had zero issues with her stuff, and it's been a hit in my household. Not yesterday, whenever it was this week that I did it, I baked a banana chocolate chip cookies, and they were absolutely fire. So if you're looking to get into bakery, highly recommend. And she has like other stuff, not just cookies, but I've been on her cookie recipes.
No, because with Liz Bake, I'm like, she got me wanting to bake. We just influence each other. I'm like, I think the other day you said you made like banana chocolate chip cookies. I'm like, that sounds so good.
I literally thought of you when I was making them, Kenny, because I know that's your combo. And she has all types of recipes. And when I like watching her like videos and reading the recipe because you can like see what it's supposed to look like. Granted, the first time I did the baking and I posted this on my private story on Snapchat, the consistency of my stuff wasn't quite matching her consistency. Hers was giving like smooth and fluffy. Mine was given clumpy and liquidy, but they turned out good. So, you know, a little error, but I think that was a user error.
And honestly, they didn't look that bad. To me, as a viewer, an outside person, it was giving like scone vibes. So, it still looked good.
Exactly. You just close your eyes and just like take a bite and then you're like, this is good.
Exactly that. And now we're going to get into Sports Corner. So the race we're going to be talking about is Baku in Azerbaijan. And wow, what a race weekend this was. As a McLaren and Ferrari fan, it was not a good weekend for me. So I'm not necessarily buzzing after this weekend. But hey, the podium was definitely interesting. But we'll get into that a little bit later in our Sports Corner talk. But first, we have to talk about qualifying. Why was this qualifying longer than like what a normal race is? Like that's how you know it was a mess. There were 6 red flags. Ever since I got into F1, I don't think I've ever watched a quali with that many red flags. And I'm trying to remember, like I don't remember Baku being such like a place, like a difficult track from last year or even watching Drive to Survive. Like when I tell you them walls had everyone messed up, literally 5 out of the 6 DNFs were because they hit the wall. And I just didn't realize it was a track like that for real. But yeah.
I think it was the rain, honestly. Wasn't it kind of like rainy or like slippery or something?
I think it rained earlier in the session or something. Like it wasn't like heavy rain, but I definitely do think the roads were a little slick. And I realized like, oh, Baku might be a street track, and I did not realize that either.
I also think that me and Kennedy are to blame, but we'll get into that more like on actual Grand Prix day.
Yes, and so obviously the Ferraris it was a typical weekend for them, I would say, so that means it wasn't a good weekend. And then McLaren, it was just very uncharacteristic. Oscar, he crashed out in Q3, I believe, hit the wall, and I was like, oh my god. Oscar, why did you do that? Wait, actually, now I think about it, I don't know if it was Q3 or not at this moment, but I know he crashed out when I was sick, and Lando, he didn't have it because there was not much time left in the session, so there wasn't much time for everyone to really like put in good laps, so Lando did not qualify the best. So yeah, that's all for qualifying and race day, you guys. First lap, mind you, I decided to wake up actually at like 6:50 so I can be up by 7 o'clock to actually watch the race. So I'm like half asleep. I ain't gonna lie, I like slept through like the actual start, but like I ended up waking up like a couple of seconds into it. And the next thing I know, Oscar Piastri crashed and he's out first lap. And I'm like, what just happened? And that's when I knew like, oh, this is going to be an interesting crash. And then they replayed it and he basically like locked up. Mind you, we were already at the back. Yeah, so he got out in Q3, so like the end, or Q1. I was like confused because it's like flopped when I feel like it should be the other way around. He got out in Q1, so he was towards the back already, and then he like accidentally jumped the start, which would have been a penalty if he was on the race. And then because he jumped the start and like stopped, then he was in the anti-stall, so he was just, it was down bad for him. And then, he's trying to make his way up, and then he locks up and just goes into the wall. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah, as soon as he was out in the first lap, that's how I knew it was going to be a very interesting race. I mean, it was already interesting because neither one of the McLarens were up in the like P1, P2, P3 as is, and then he like is completely out. So it's like, well, if he's out, how's the rest of this race gonna go? We still got like a lot of laps to go.
Yeah, and then honestly, I can't remember anything really eventful happening during the race that I would like note on, except for I think Albon and Franco, they had a little collision, and I think Alex got a penalty for that. I was like, dang. I'm like, I fear Colapinto can't catch a break, honestly, but I'm glad he was able to like drive off. And like Loki, I heard some rumors that they're gonna stick with Colapinto for Alpine next year, which I hope so, because what that team needs is stability. But yeah, that's honestly all I have to say for the race. It ended with Max P1, George P2, Carlos P2, George P3, which I'm like leads me into my next point. Carlos mother freaking signs getting P2 in a Williams. I know that's right. Everyone that was hating on him said like, oh, he flopped out the move from Ferrari. Guess what? He got P2 in a Williams.
I think he got P3 actually.
Oh, my bad. Wait, hold on. Let me look at the. Oh, wait, you may be right. I'm trying to, like, always get them confused on the podium sometimes. I'm like, let me look at the picture real quick. Yeah, P3. My bad, you guys. P3, but still very good.
I was so happy for Carlos. You know, he finally got his pole that he needed. He finally got the podium. I was very, very excited, like I said. I think he needed that because, you know, Williams has been doing good, like, overall, I feel like, but out of, like, either Alex and Carlos, I feel like Carlos has been, like, on the other end of it a little bit, you know, like he's had him some struggles in some races, but he finally got podium and I'm so excited for him. Yeah, and then I just love seeing the clips of him like smooth operator is back, like his first one with Williams, and just the excitement of the team and everything. Yeah, that was enough for me.
Yeah, especially because Carlos has had a couple of rough races. I'm pretty sure he DNF'd the last race there was. But yeah, Alex, you know, it just feels like if one Williams is doing good, the other one is in the dumps or they're both doing bad. So I'm really glad that Carlos had this, you know, little boost of positivity, some motivation, some goodwill for the team, and just, you know, keep on going, keep investing in this project. So I'm really excited for that. And I'm like, this is what Formula One is about, you guys. When the midfield teams just have like a crazy like podium finish like this, I just love it because like it means more to them, you know, more than like maybe like a Red Bull or a McLaren.
And then the rest of the placements and everything. Now, this is when I was saying that I think me and Kennedy cursed this race, because we were talking about how we were like, oh, it'll be interesting, you know, especially Kennedy's drivers. She had Liam Lawson, and you know he's had a rough season. I feel like Kimmy started off really strong, but then he kind of had a rough season for the rest of it, the second half of it, and we're like, I wonder how they'll do. And lo and behold, Liam Lawson gets P4, I think, and then Kimmy's 5, right?
Switch. Liam Lawson finished P5, Kimmy finished P4.
Yeah, and that was very, very surprising. Just based on like their performances in all the other races, very surprising. And I really think me and Kennedy are the reason that this race went the way it did.
Yeah, because I know last week I was just like, I just hope they do good or something like that. I was just like, I'm like, listen, it's out of my hand. I don't expect a lot of points, but hey, these are the drivers I got. But yeah, I'm like, good. I'm glad Kimi Antonelli finished P4 so he could shut people up. Because, you know, a lot of people are like, well, is Mercedes making the right choice? But I'm like, if we also look at George was also doing strong as well. But then similar to Kimi, the car just like sometimes in Formula One you get upgrades to cars which turn out to not really be upgrades. So I think that's kind of the situation Mercedes was in. The car was just not there, and it seemed like the car did really good. And Baku, like I mean, George was on the podium, Kimi was almost on the podium, so really good. And then Liam Lawson, I mean, he hasn't done terrible at the Racing Bulls, but I would say, you know, he's not necessarily making noise. I feel like he's usually at the back of the pack. So for him to be up there, I was like, oh, okay, Liam, you moving up there. I was surprised. Didn't want to see you up there. I wanted my McLaren's up there. But yeah, I was very surprised about that. But this finish for Liam Lawson was his best F1 career finish. So that's pretty cool. And I think Isaac Hadjar, he finished P10. So, you know, a lot of teams got some good points for the Constructors Team Championships from after this race. So that's good. And then this was also back-to-back wins for Max Verstappen, which I just think speaks to how good of a driver he is. Because if you're not caught up into like the F1 Red Bull car, where we know that car is not really the best right now, and you may be fooled just because Max Verstappen is driving it, but it's really like they haven't produced a good car in the past couple of years. So for him to really just take this car that's not really good and like have back-to-back wins really just shows like, oh, like Max Verstappen, he's that guy. He be doing his driving. And I'm like, he may have a chance to like get close to the drivers championship, honestly, if Oscar and Lando keep having the same type of weekends they had this weekend. But yeah. Also, side note, I thought it was really funny when Oscar, because obviously he crashed out first lap, and he was like sitting there watching the race with his legs crossed. I was like, okay, Diva, we see you. I'm like, he's just like the rest of us.
No, yeah, his legs were crossed and they were like up on the, I don't know, like the countertop or whatever, and he's just like watching, sitting there. Yeah, he is really one of us. And then our little point summary. So before this race, Kennedy was at 215 points and I was at 113 points. And then after this race, Kennedy is now at 226 points. She got 8 points for a fourth to 10th place finish, and then a finish ahead of teammate, which was 3 points. So she's at 226. And then I am at 154 points now. I feel like I really made a comeback. I got a first place finish from Max, so that was 25 points. Fastest lap, 5 points. Finish ahead of teammate, 6 points. And then qualifies pole position, 5 points. So Kennedy's at 226, and I'm now at 154. I feel like I'm making my comeback now.
Elizabeth had a Carlos Sainz weekend. You know, there might be still some time for her to catch up. But yeah, so make sure you listen to next week's episode to find out who our drivers are for Singapore.
And I just want to say that my favorite thing that came out of this weekend was the videos of Charles and Carlos. Charles posted on his Instagram story, and he's like in the car, and it's like night or something, and then he like pans over to the driver, and it's Carlos driving. I think that's also like goes into show like how crazy their schedules are, because they literally were racing this morning, and now they're like in Italy going back home or something. That's just really crazy how all of that works, because then they're gonna be back in Asia. Yeah, anyways, that's crazy to think of the travel, but I just love their duo. It will forever be iconic to me. So I was very excited to see that.
I will say the time difference, they were probably more like in the middle of the day since it was so early our time. But yeah, it's just crazy how they travel. It's like literally like, I think, let's see, Azerbaijan. You know, I did used to know where this was on a map, but I'm forgetting in this moment, but I'm pretty sure it's like in the Middle East type vibe. So like to go from there to like Italy, just like in the afternoon right after a race is crazy, and just be out and about. I'm like, y'all need to go to Asia and like the not next week but the week after. Like, oh my gosh, crazy.
No, they just go. I don't know how they do it, getting used to like all the time changes and everything. They're real troopers, is all I gotta say.
That part. But yeah, that is all for Sports Corner. And so now we're gonna get into our pop culture section. She's kind of fat today. We got a lot to talk about. She's been eating. So we're gonna dive right into it. So first, the Coachella lineup came out recently. Honestly, I don't have many thoughts except Justin Bieber, Sabrina Carpenter, and Karol G are the headliners. I would love to see Sabrina Carpenter perform, but unless Tate McRae's headlining, I'm gonna stay sad.
I feel like Sabrina and Karol G, they like line up, you know? Karol G, I love her. But Justin Bieber, he just seems so random in this lineup. I feel like whoever the original person that they wanted fell through, and he was like not even plan B. I feel like he was plan D. It's so random. I feel like with the vibe of Sabrina and Carol, I feel like we would have got like another like female, or just like a male that's more even like what's his name, Benson Boone.
Yeah, Benson Boone.
Yeah, him. I feel like even he would have been like a good lineup with them. I don't know, I just feel like Justin Bieber is very random. Granted, I don't really listen to him, so I don't know like what he'd be putting out there, but for what the other stuff I see of him, I'm not vibing with him.
Yeah, honestly, I was surprised that he was a headline. I feel like he would be like, I'm not doing that. Just because of everything we've seen of him online recently. He did just come out with Swag Part 2, so another album. But I'm like, I didn't know Justin was like still performing for real, for real. But apparently he's getting paid a good amount of money to headline Coachella. And my sources are TikTok comment, so don't hold me to it. But I'm like, well, I mean, if the money's good, then I guess he can't say no. But it'll be interesting to see what his performance actually looks like. But I'm really excited to see clips of Sabrina's performance, just because I feel like her most recent album, Man Child, is going to be like, it's the perfect like album to just perform because it gives musical vibes. So I will be jealous of the people who get to see that live. But like I said, unless Tate McRae's headline and I won't be there. Also, Cat's Eye is performing as well. I know that. Which like low key, I've heard some things where people are like, if only their music was as good as they look. So like, I don't really know if their music is good. I've never listened to their songs. And then honestly, let's get a Wallows headliner, please. I know they did perform like last year, I think, or like the year before that. But I'm like, can we get Wallows headlining one year, like please, for the girlies. But yeah, don't really have many thoughts. Honestly, it's not really given like it's gonna make noise this year.
And I feel like if anything, Justin Bieber would have not been headliner, but like one of like the names that's not the tiny names, but like the second font name, like the sub headliners. I feel like he would have been good at that point. But like headliner, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm just not a fan of him.
Yeah, I agree. I'm like, I wouldn't be interested in seeing Justin Bieber unless he was singing like his old songs. But like, he has so many songs. He just came out with like 2 albums this year, so like, who knows? Maybe we'll see some more road products or like a road activation at Coachella, and I will be sad for that content.
And then on other news, there is a lot of Harry Styles and Zoe. I don't know how you say her last name, so Zoe, the PR, we've all seen the pictures. I feel I swear me and Kelsey were talking about this. She was engaged to someone else a couple weeks, months ago, I feel like. I don't know. I'm not vibing with it personally.
So I'm pretty sure her last name was pronounced Kravitz, Zoe Kravitz, because her dad is Lenny Kravitz, I believe. And yeah, I don't know. I have no skin in the game, so it's just always interesting to see the discourse around it. And I don't know, I'm like, is this PR or not? Because I feel like Harry is a lot more open with her than like he seems to be, and like compared to like other people he's been rumored to be like seeing and dating. Like I feel like him and Taylor were very low key. But yeah, I'm just like, wow, this is very interesting. She was either engaged or in a long-term relationship with Shannon Tatum. And then I know they kind of broke it off after they were like kind of in a movie together. You know, they just had to go their separate ways, but I don't think there was any bad blood. But then I knew she was spotted with Austin Butler, which again was probably a bit of PR because they were in a movie together. And then after Austin Butler, we see her with Harry Styles. And it's like, oh girl, the roster is crazy. But I'm just like, all these celebrity things we're seeing, like, it's funny because at the same time we saw like I think Olivia Jade with Austin Butler out or something, and the next thing you know, so everyone's like, okay, so her and Jacob Elordi are done. But then, like a couple days after that, they're at a movie premiere together. They, as in Jacob and Olivia. So it's just like all these celebrities just dating each other and bouncing back from one another. I'm just like, wow, what is going on here? What in the PR is going on in here? And it's kind of crazy. I was listening to a podcast and they made a good point. It's like, to us, the relationship seems so new, but like literally in one of the photos, like one of the third photos of them together, they were literally having lunch with her dad. So I'm like, what is this relationship? Like, what is going on?
Yeah, I joined Channing Tatum and Austin Butler as one. She was engaged to Channing Tatum, and then she was seen with Austin Butler. Just look that up. But as a Harry girly, that man needs to just get back in the studio. I feel like he's had all these little, not PR question mark relationship scenes with different people in the past couple years. So like he has content to make an album. So let's just get that man into a studio. That's all we need. That's all we ask of him from now.
And honestly, we might get some banger songs out of this era. Like I know he has a song called Caroline that I think is like about someone. So like maybe we get a song called New York. Like I don't know. Or Zoe.
Not all the different names. Step one is getting him in that album, in the album, getting him in that studio. We can't even come up with names if that man is in there.
Harry's House Part 2. Harry needs to go home.
Clock it. And then in other news, there is a lot of TV and media announcements of different things that are coming out and everything. So I'll let Kennedy take it away with our first one.
Yes. I don't know. I can't remember if I've talked about my little phase with being obsessed with Wife Swap on the podcast or not, but if you don't know, it's like our early 2000s show, just pure like 2000s reality TV, raw, unfiltered, and so where like just random like middle America families are swapping wives for the week, and it's just like drama, of course, and it's like they do the most opposite like families on purpose because like more entertaining. Like for example, like they'll pick like the most conservative family, like guns a blazing with the most liberal family. So it's it's like that type of vibe. So they have announced that they're doing a wife swap, but the Real Housewives edition, and they recently revealed the cast. And all I know is I'm gonna be sad for that. Like that's gonna be so good. Just a bunch of rich people being in other rich people's houses. That's gonna be interesting. Yeah, I'm like, so really, I feel like it's gonna get a look into like what do y'all really do all day? You know what I mean? So I'm excited for that. And then next, we got a very exciting trailer for the book girlies, and that was the Housewives trailer. You guys, I'm so excited. I think it comes out December 19th, I believe. And it looks so good. I know people are hating, but I think the casting is perfect. It sucks that, Sydney Sweeney has to beat him, but, she got that role before the Great Jeans debacle. But other than that, I think everyone fits perfectly. I know people have problems with the attic, and I understand because I also viewed the attic different. But then I was like, well, it kind of makes sense that it's a nice attic and a nice house because why would a rich family just have a rinky dink attic randomly? You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm super excited for it.
I think it's coming out in the perfect time where between that like transition into December and still feeling like the not spooky but like spooky vibes. I think this is the perfect movie for that. Yeah, the cast I feel like is really good. The cast is exactly what I imagined them, you know. Even Sydney Sweeney, I did imagine her looking like that, you know. So I am excited for all of that. Although I will say, I imagined the dad in it, the husband, to be like a little bit more like not younger, but like more attractive looking to me. Maybe it's he's just not my cup of tea personally. But that's my like one thing about the cast. But everybody else I feel like is perfect. And I did imagine the attic being like more like scary looking, but it does like Kitty said, it makes sense. Like why would they have their whole house be all nice and then the attic be all you know messed up looking? But I am very very excited. I think that it's going to be pretty accurate, although me and Kenny did see one TikTok where everybody in the comments was hating. They were eating it up, and I was like, these people are just not happy with anything because I thought it was pretty accurate. Yeah, that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I agree with Liz. Though the husband dad is not my cup of tea, but I'll keep my mouth shut about that one. And yeah, that TikTok Liz sent me, and I was like, these people wouldn't know fun if it hit them in the face. I'm like, God forbid, like a movie gets Hollywoodized a little bit. Like it's a freaking book, and it's like a thriller book, and it's not like not no shade to Frida McFadden. I think that's the author. But it's not like the house. What? Wait, did I say housewives earlier for the trailer? It's the housemaid. So my bad if I said housewives trailer. I meant the housemaid. But it's not like the housemaid is like some extraordinary like book that's like gonna be a classic. You know what I mean? It's just like a cutie little thriller that's like good. It's good, but it's not the best. Like it's not bad, but it's not necessarily like the best book you've ever read. Even though I probably did rate it very highly, but you guys know what I'm trying to say. So it's like I don't understand why people are so upset about it.
Yeah, it's not like a work of art. It's not gonna be a classic, but it's good. My other thing is, for those of you guys who don't know, the author Frida McFadden is a pseudonym. I think that's what you call them, where like it's a fake name and we don't know like her real identity and everything. So my question is she gonna be like at the premiere? Like, what's gonna be her role there? Is she gonna be like in disguise? Where's she gonna go and people just not gonna know like that's her, you know? I wonder how she's gonna play it off.
That is a very good point because I never thought about that. I was like, oh yeah, like she's hidden. That's so cool. But it's like, are you gonna show up? Because I feel like she's explaining why. Like she works in like the healthcare, I think, the healthcare industry, and she just wants to keep those two things separate. Like I don't even think like people she works with probably even know that she's like a best-selling author with a movie coming out. So yeah, that is kind of crazy because now that I think about it, like when they release like the Housemaids is becoming a movie, I don't think they like ever said like, oh, like this is the author's picture. Like usually the author's picture is there, but it wasn't. Is this gonna be a Sia situation?
Yeah, I think she's like a doctor or something. So she's like a pretty like high up there person. I wonder if they just kind of like bought the rights for it and then, maybe she shows up but she's gonna be like, playing it off like a normal person. That'd be crazy though. She imagine the author's literally sitting beside you watching the movie and you don't even know that's her.
I wonder if she's had any interactions at work where it's like, just so happens like some nurses or something like read her book or something, and she's just like, not gonna say anything.
See, that's what I'm also imagining. Like, does she read her books at work or like? Because I feel like she's definitely had these interactions where like it's a slow day, you're like reading something, and people are reading this like book that everybody's talking about. Like, does she just walk by? Does she like go, "Oh, I really enjoyed that one"? Like, what I would do to know.
And I also feel like, being an author, like you're writing all the time. And if she was involved with the movie making progress or process, then like, I would assume like I would notice if a coworker was just like, acting a little different, had extra papers with her, stuff like that. So yeah, I needed all the tea. Someone put Frida McFadden on a podcast right now.
Put her on the girls' lounge. We'll take her. We'll interview you. We'll keep it all secret.
That part. And then our next little announcement that came out, which is also book related, is We Were Liars is getting a season 2. And I'm very excited about it. I love season 1. I think it was, pretty, like, I don't want to say accurate to the book because like I haven't read that book in a while. So like I don't know, but I really enjoyed the show. But the other book that came out in like that kind of series was Family of Liars, which is about the moms, because kind of like in the book, in the first book, We Were Liars, the moms kind of reference like, oh, is all of this, like everything that happens, kind of like our karma for what happened in a certain summer. So season 2, I'm pretty sure is going to be us going back in time to that certain summer. And I'm curious. I haven't read that book. I really want to now that there is going to be a season 2, but I'm curious in like if in the show format we're going to see like the summer that like they believe like that's where all the karma came from, and if we're going to kind of see like them working through like present day past the events of We Were Liars. But yeah, I'm just curious about that.
And that's my sign to watch season 1. So then I'm ready for season 2. And then our last little news is this is for all the Disney girlies, the people who grew up on Disney. Camp Rock is coming back with a third movie. Yeah, because there's Camp Rock and then Camp Rock 2. And it has like pretty much the original cast. Like it has the Jonas Brothers are in it, it has the mom, and then Demi is going to be the executive producer for it. I am going to be sad because Camp Rock was my thing. All the songs, the whole plot line, yeah, I ate that up. I was a Joe girly. So I very much was super excited for that movie, and I feel like it's gonna be good. I don't know. I think that they're gonna be probably, my guesses are they're gonna be kind of like a counselor kind of role. But yeah, I think it'll be good.
I think so too, especially if Demi is like executive producing it. I feel like that's a good sign. But yeah, I'm super excited. Along with Liz, I do think it's gonna be like they're probably gonna be like counselors. Maybe the movie plot line is gonna be like, oh, the camp is struggling. We're gonna bring it back up and make it popular again, or something like that. But yeah, I did see the cast. There are some like up and coming Disney stars I just recognized from like the zombie movies. I'm like, oh, so like this is like the next generation of like Disney kids, I guess. But yeah, I'm really excited for it, and I will be sad, even though I'm probably not the target audience, but it's fine.
I feel like there's gonna be like two target audiences. There's gonna be the current Disney people and then the OG. So I feel like there's gonna be like references, or maybe they like throw in, I don't know, a little dance sequel or like songs that are similar. There has to be references because they know who the main target audience is.
But I'm like, do these young kids nowadays, like, do they even know what Camp Rock is? Like, have they seen Camp Rock 1 and 2? If not, they need to be educated.
No, that part. I feel like the cast has to have seen it, right? I know, honestly, I feel like they probably auditioned or did their thing, and now they're like, oh, now I have to like watch these original movies.
I hope so. We cannot let this be a bad sequel. Which, I heard Freakier Friday was a pretty good sequel. So, like, hopefully Camp Rock 3 can keep that same energy. Even though technically it's not a sequel, but you guys know what I mean.
And Demi, we will be trusting.
And now we're going to get into what we've been watching. Honestly, not much. Honestly, next week, you guys, it might be a lot. But I won't tell you why until next week. But, of course, it was my big three, but now it's my big two. But Desperate Housewives, Stranger Things, of course. But with the Summer I Turned Pretty ending, I finally like fully picked back up my life with the Water Boys. Season 2, I have watched, like, started watching it a little bit, but I just wasn't like as like I don't want to say as into it. I just was like watching other things. It wasn't the first show to come to mind, and I was like, oh, I want to sit down and watch something. But you guys, if you're having withdrawals from the Summer I Turned Pretty, watch this freaking show. It's not as good as it, but it's just so dramatic. It's definitely more Wattpad-y, and it's just so good. And like for me, it's kind of like more fun because it's like I don't have as much like skin in the game. Like there's not necessarily a brother that I'm like hardcore rooting for. There obviously is one brother that like I like more than the other, but like I genuinely like don't really care. And it's just a bunch of drama, and it's like not so focused on the love triangle. Like there's a whole bunch of other storylines that I'm invested in as well. And the whole family is messy. Like if you guys think Belly's messy, girl, the whole Walter family is messy, okay? Like it is so good. I don't want to spoil because just in case Liz wants to watch it, but it's just so good, you guys. And then last night I finished watching this documentary about Ghislaine Maxwell, which I did not know that was how you said her name. But it's Ghislaine Maxwell, Filthy Rich. This actually came out a couple years ago, I believe. It's a documentary about her on Netflix. And I did watch the Jeffrey Epstein one they did. That came out in 2020. I watched that whenever it came out back then. And honestly, this might be bad to say, but honestly just kind of like forgot about everything. Like after, he kind of, ended his life, I just, just didn't keep up. And I like knew that like Ghislaine Maxwell was like his right hand like person and everything, but like I didn't realize like, oh, like she came from a rich family, and that like she was his girlfriend, and like how she like single-handedly really was like getting these young girls to Jeffrey. And it was just like really disgusting and gross. And like also I didn't realize that like Jeffrey Epstein, like he actually like went to jail for like soliciting for like a year before like the big like what we know of like what came after that. When I was like, oh, I didn't know that. But just like it's just crazy what you can get away with when you're rich. And it's just like it kind of makes me wonder now with all the like, oh, who's on the list, who goes to his island. I'm like, so when did y'all go to his island in relation to when he went to jail the first time? Like that has me side-eyeing you guys. But I don't know, I'm just like, wow, I'm like, the fact that she only got 20 years is insane. I mean, either way, I feel like because she's kind of not up there in age, but like I think she's in her 60s, like she's pretty much probably gonna die in prison. I'm just like 20 years for what she did is crazy. And I feel like people don't talk enough about her being kind of like a predator in the sense of like touching people. I don't know how to like say that correctly. Like I feel like people just talk about like her getting girls to Jeffrey, which is already bad within itself, underage girls at that. But just like the other part too, I'm just like, oh, like 20 years is not enough. Like, rot in prison. You're disgusting. But yeah, that's what I've been watching.
No, because it really is like scary when you really think about the people like in power and then all that stuff. Yeah, it's messed up out there. And then on what I've been watching is I was gonna say Suits. I've been watching White Collar. I'm currently on season 4, and I have a little bit more than a week to finish it. I have faith, you guys. I'm on episode 7 of season 4. So there's 16 episodes in this season, and then 16 in season 5, and then 8 episodes in season 6. I have faith that I can finish it before it gets removed from Netflix. I'll update you guys on how that goes next week. And then I started watching with my mom this K-drama. It's called Bon Appetit, Your Majesty, and it follows this like Michelin star cook, and somehow she gets transported back in time in Korea to when they had like a tyrant king. And yeah, we watched 2 episodes yesterday, and so far it's good. Yeah, that's all I've been watching. Not much.
And now we're gonna get into the Summer I Turned Pretty, the finale recap. This is for sure, like, obviously at this point, it's gonna be full spoilers, which, before we get into it, I'm so glad there's gonna be a movie coming out. I'll kind of let Liz lead the conversation because I literally watched this the morning it came out. I said, oh yeah, I'm getting up early and I'm watching this. And I did. And I feel like Liz might have more fresher thoughts. So yeah, Liz, go ahead and take it away because I know we might have some differing opinions at some parts.
Yeah, let me pull up my text messages because those are my notes. I literally watched it an hour ago, so it's fresh on my mind, you guys. Before we get into that, while I look for the text messages, the movie, I am so excited for the movie, especially with that ending, which I'll get into. But the movie I feel like will really encapsulate what I personally felt was missing from this episode. First off, this episode was not long enough. I think it was the longest episode of the show, but it was not long enough for me.
I was just gonna say this is where we differ because I don't know, you guys. Like, I love this episode. I was like, this is what I've been wanting this whole time. Like, it's just so good. Like, I said it before. Like, I just want to see Conrad and Belly together. And if even if they aren't technically like together in that episode, it's like just them, like kind of figuring things out again. Like, that's all I want to see. And just like, what really got me was when they were sightseeing around Paris, and Belly's like, "Oh, like, isn't this so beautiful?" But Conrad's looking at her. Like, you're done. Like, you're actually done. And then another part was when she was like, they're on like the top of the bus, and he literally takes a picture of her. Mind you, they're sightseeing. Like, what? I saw a TikTok that was like, Conrad just raised the standards for my future husband, and I'm like, yep, exactly that.
No, yeah, because we can talk about that first. Yeah. When he took the picture, I was swooning, you guys. I like passed away. And then when he literally every single site that they're seeing, he's not looking at the sites. He's looking at her looking at the sites. Like, oh my gosh. That was so good. That was what I needed from Conrad. Okay, I found my thoughts, you guys. So okay. So Taylor was making me mad. I'm not gonna lie, you guys. Like, I do understand that she was mad at Steven, and she does have every right to be mad at Steven for like not bringing up San Francisco, but I feel like she was overreacting a bit. I don't know. I feel like she was being very much Taylor, where she was about to like self-sabotage everything. But I'm glad that like she was psyching herself out, and I'm glad that she like talked to Steven, like they did get to talk and everything, and she did say like old me would have ran, but like no, like I want this. And I did like how she emphasized, I'm not moving for you, I'm moving with you. I did like that because I feel like Taylor, she's been like doing everything for other people and not anything like for herself. So I did like that little moment for her. She was making me mad though when she was mad, because I was like, here we go again, same old with Taylor. Yeah, that's what my thoughts on Taylor little meltdown.
Yeah, honestly, let's see, what did I think? I was just kind of like, Taylor, girl, what are you doing? I thought Jenny Han was gonna break them up for a second, and I was just like, oh, of course they're in this toxic cycle again. But I did think like the makeup was really cute. And I'm like, Steven, why would you not say nothing? But like Taylor, I was like, girl, why are you being so passive aggressive? I just wanted to like cry. And but yeah, I don't know, some of their interactions, like, it kind of makes me cringe a little bit, but I don't know. I was like, not them making out at like what's technically like a work event, kind of. I was like, I'm like, as a PR person, which like me and Kelsey had this talk yesterday, we're like, she's not really like a PR person. Like, that's not really what PR people do. But anyways, that's just like something us marketing people would take notice of. But yeah, I don't know. I was just like, girl, not y'all straddling on the deck. Like, be professional. Oh, and also during that scene, like the whole like event, Jeremiah cooking, I was like, not that Dad and Laurel like not hooking up anymore. Like, Jenny Han, why would you take that away from us?
No, because real quick before we get into that, the Taylor stuff, yeah, she was giving me more like event planner. I don't know where we got PR with it. Yeah, she was giving definitely event planner in her role and everything. And then yes, here's my first complaint on this episode. So are we not gonna get like a little like what happened with Laurel and not Adam, Laurel and the dad? Like, are we not gonna talk about it? They have hooked up like twice, I feel like. There's definitely some tension, and we just didn't even like I thought that it was building up when they were talking with Adam, and they're like, oh, have you been seeing anyone? He's like, no. And then she's like, what do you mean haven't? Like, I thought it was gonna be like one of those, but it wasn't anything. So like, what's going on with them?
I guess it just fizzled out from Laurel's side. She's self-sabotaging. That's where Belly gets it from. But yeah, we just kind of got like no like explanation on that, which like, listen, I was so focused on Belly and Conrad that I didn't even deep that for real. But I was like, yeah, guess they're not sleeping anymore. And I'm glad the dad didn't have a heart attack, which I'm like, listen, the theories, like, low key, I don't like to look at theories because, like, sometimes I'm like, y'all are doing too much. But I just saw it so much. I was like, oh, what if Jenny Han does make him have a heart attack? So, like, this whole episode, like, that he was in the scenes, like, in the beginning, I was like, so is he gonna have the heart attack now? Like, I'm like, so what's gonna happen? Thankfully, he didn't have a heart attack. But yeah. And then another funny thing about that scene was Adam and that freaking champagne. Oh my gosh. I was like, Jeremiah, when are we gonna get over this champagne? So me and Kelsey, we're kind of confused on the time jump, but either way, we're like, it has been some time from the wedding. I'm gonna need you to get over this time jump.
Yeah, the champagne was actually hilarious to me. There he goes pulling it out, and then when he like opens up the bottle, yeah, him and the champagne is gonna be forever iconic. I think the time jump is like almost a year since the wedding, or like it's about to be a year, because Belly's birthday's like in the summer, and her birthday like just happened again. So I think it's like almost been a year since the wedding. I'm gonna say like 10 months since the wedding, I feel like, but I could be lying to you guys. That's kind of like what I gathered, but yeah, I feel like we needed a little like the text that says like 6 months later, 8 months later, like where was that this entire time? Even honestly, like on the flashbacks, that would have been nice, I feel like, because sometimes they obviously like the teenage them acting like the age isn't that accurate, so like I honestly didn't know even in the flashbacks how old they were sometimes, so I feel like that would have been very much a plus if they had that.
Yeah, I wish I was recording me and Kelsey's FaceTime call so I could just like insert and like let y'all hear how confused we were. But I think our consensus was that there was a time jump when Conrad jumped on the plane.
Yeah, like the whole Conrad thing was definitely not right after. Although it, when you're first watching it, it made it seem like okay, like he just got offered this, but I yeah, that we need some explanation on that, Jenny Han. And then my thing, oh, my next little point was Belly was being so performative. I feel like because why was she smoking? She was very much always against the smoking and everything, and like I get like maybe she's a changed woman or whatever, but I feel like that was one thing that she was set on, and then for her to just act like it's cool now, like okay, okay, it's performative.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that's like one little comment I would have to say is that I feel like it was all like, oh, like Belly looks different because she's changing herself, like she's in Paris. But I feel like in a way she was putting on a front because I felt like in a way like with Conrad coming to Paris to see her, it was kind of like, oh, like this is like kind of like who I really am. Because then at the end we see her like no makeup in the yellow dress, looking sunny or whatever. But yeah, I'm like they're like with the red lipstick, the bob. I was like, oh, like okay, this is a different Belly. She's smoking, she talking her French. I'm like, okay, period.
Yeah, the red lipstick, I was like, since when does Belly wear so much? And then the eyeliner and everything, I was like, okay, Belly, I guess so. You do you. And then my next thing, Jeremiah in general. So I did like that he got some development. I feel like, he's finally like figuring out like what he wants to do. He like enjoys cooking and everything, and he's like pursuing that. I feel like we got like overall a pretty good like wrap up ending for Jeremiah, and how like he's not like, obviously it is always going to affect him that like Conrad is with Belly, but like it's not like affecting him and everything. So I did like all of that. Him and Denise, before we get into like him and Denise, I did like how she like clocked him real quick when she said something about like all you think about, well, this, I'm misquoting here, but she basically said like all you think about is like Conrad, like you're always comparing yourself to Conrad. I was like, yes, clock it finally, because he always like puts himself down, and even like with Adam and everything, like he always thinks like Adam isn't proud of him, but like Adam finally like said it, like I'm proud of you and everything, and I'm glad that they got kind of that, had that like closure relationship for them. And now Jeremiah and Denise, personally, I am not a fan. I don't know how Kennedy feels about this, but I am not a fan. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it's just like they was just two single people and they said let's put them together. That makes the most sense. Like no, they could have just continued being best friends or something. Like maybe Denise would have been Jeremiah's Agnes, you know? I'm not a fan of it, but I guess it was bound to happen. It was inevitable. I was just waiting for them to kind of like make out or something. Oh, and then with that, the little dessert he made, is that like the wedding cake he wanted? Because it looked like chocolate, and then it looked like it had some like raspberry or berry filling, whipped cream or something. So I'm like, I was just thinking that's the wedding cake he wanted.
Yeah, I definitely do think this episode was good overall for Jeremiah's development. Honestly, like Jeremiah and Denise, I don't know. I don't really have many like thoughts about it. I remember like last week, I think we had a conversation. You were like, "Oh my gosh!" Like if they make Denise and Jeremiah thing, and I was like I can't really see it. So I was actually shook. I was like, "Are they gonna kiss right now?" I'm like, I think I've been a Jeremiah and Redbird like supporter since day one. I was like, I want them to be together, but yeah, I'm like, well, I guess that's that. And I was surprised about it too because they kind of had that whole talk as well, him and Denise, where he was like, I've never been alone. Like this is my real chance to be alone. So I'm like, so I'm assuming he's just gonna move to San Francisco with them, with Denise, Steven, and Taylor. So I'm like. So like that's like kind of a missed opportunity there because I definitely see like we're finally kind of seeing Jeremiah come into his own, not compare himself so much to Jeremiah, and now I fear he's just gonna like just go into another relationship and like be surrounded with people. But yeah, that was definitely something.
No, that part, I was like, okay, yes, you've never been alone. Be alone. Like, take some time for yourself. Because, like, even when he has been alone, he's always been, like, comparing himself to Conrad or, like, comparing, like, he's never been in zen with himself, I guess. And I really thought, like, okay, maybe they're not going to end up together. But then the, like, kiss, and I'm like, you're not going to do, like, long distance. I don't know. There's another plot hole. I feel like, yeah, I'll get into my overall thoughts later. But yeah, I was definitely like, so I feel like we took 3 steps forward and then we took a jump back because where did that take us? And then I also did think I was like Redbird made like his little appearance when he interrupted the adults. I was like, oh my gosh, so maybe he is gonna have like a bigger role, but no.
Also, I just thought of something. This may be like more so like movie talk or just like me just being extra. But I'm just like, wait, San Francisco, that's in like the Bay Area. So like Northern California, right? I may be getting my geography messed up.
I think you're getting your geography a little confused. I think it's San Francisco's like Southern California.
Oh, well, either way. So is everyone going to be in California now? Because I assume Belly's going to come out and visit Conrad in California.
Yeah, so I guess we're leaving the East Coast and all their problems and just moving over to the West Coast and hoping everything gets resolved, is what I'm gathering.
Yeah, I just had that random thought. That's all I had to say.
And then my other thoughts back, so like those are all my thoughts on all the side characters. And then we get Conrad and Belly. At first, I thought Benito and Belly were still together because the way he was all up on her, and like even at the wedding table dinner, I felt like they were all the way further away from everybody else. I don't know. I feel like that setup was a little weird because it wasn't like there was people in between them. They were just kind of like in their own little world. But also, I guess like the French, I feel like if there's one culture where like you can be like, oh, this is my friend, we were like engaged, and like, oh, this is my other friend, we dated like for a bit. I feel like the French would like do that. I don't know. Because they're very like open and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I feel like that was like a little weird. But I guess that they broke up or whatever, And once Conrad like finds out that they broke up, I don't know if you noticed, but he definitely like got like put like he moved and sat beside her, and then he was like, I taught her how to ride a bike. I was like, oh my gosh, this man, yeah, he is claiming his territory. He's claiming what's his. I love that part. I was like, yes, this is like possessive that we needed of Conrad because he's always been like put his feelings aside and everything, but no, he took the reins and he was like, yeah, this is my girl and I'm gonna come get her.
Yup, I definitely noticed that energy. Like he was just kind of like, claiming his spot. Like I don't know what the shoulder thing is, but he was coming in high. Cause I don't know who Bonito thought he was. Like listen, Bonito, or his name is not Bonito. Bonito, you was cool, but listen, Kanye Baby was always number one. Okay. And Conrad ate him up with the bike comment. I was like, period. That's what I'm talking about. And I was like, Benito, you were just. He's giving me secondhand embarrassment because, like, don't be so down bad over Belly. Like, she's not worth it. Or, I shouldn't say that. It's just it was always gonna be Conrad at the end of the day.
No, and then I was kind of like, okay, so like when he was like starting to speak in Spanish, I was like, okay, so he trying to like make it so like nobody else, because like speaking French, Conrad obviously wouldn't understand, but he didn't want nobody else to know. Like he definitely still got feelings for Belly, which I feel kind of weird that they're like besties over there. And then the fact that she had like the photos still up in her room, and I guess like okay, you got photos with your friends, but the one photo of just them two, I was like, why would you have that? I don't know. I feel like, and then the photo of him by himself, if anything, it'd be like a group photo, but I don't know. I feel like that was a little weird. I feel like that was again performative Belly.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I also thought his birthday gift was a little weird. Like, you just want everybody to know at the party that you slept with her, is what I got from that.
Yeah, that part. I was, I did like Benito, but I did not like little jealous Benito right here. And then okay, so then they're like, we already talked about like their sightseeing and all that kind of stuff. My only other real thought is the like makeout scene. That was intense, you guys. I thought this was like a rated TV 14 show. Nope.
I was shook. I was like, I was sitting there in bed, mind you, it's like not even noon. Like, it's like 9 o'clock in the morning when I'm watching this. I'm like, oh, we're going there. And then, like, I was like, okay, they're making out, whatever, okay. Typical, I guess. But then the staircase. The staircase was when I was really like, oh, we're really going there. And I'm like, period. Like, finally, all that built up tension, they finally get in and out, and then they can be together happily forever after. And then I was like, okay, the staircase, I was like, okay, surely it's gonna kind of stop. Nope, it kept going. And at first, for a second, I was like, oh, are like, is the Summer I Turned Pretty gonna turn into a nudity show? It didn't, but I was like, oh, y'all are very close to that. I was like, wow, I was not expecting you guys to go there, but like, period, the finale, we're going all out.
No, because that was my exact scenes. I was like, oh my gosh, are they like taking a note from like Culpa Mia, Culpa Tuyo? Like those are Prime shows, so like I know Prime knows how to get down in that realm, but I was like, definitely a part three, because first it was the car scene. And then we get this. I didn't even realize the staircase was a staircase until like they pan out and it shows a staircase. At first, I thought that they were back in the apartment, and then they pan out. And I'm like, they're doing all that out in the stairs. Imagine like a little old French lady like comes out and she sees that. And then part three was like, well, like part 2.5 was like the lead up to the bedroom, and then part three was the bedroom. Yeah, I thought we were about to see some nude scenes. I was like, dang, Lola's into all this. Yeah, that was like actually crazy. But what's even crazier for me is we go from having a whole part three makeout scene and we're doing it all to her saying, I'm not like, I don't know how I feel like you've always just liked me because like you've been told to like me. Belly, I was so mad right there. I was like, okay, so we had all this character development for you to go back and say that, because nobody has ever told Conrad to be in love with you. Man has always just been in love with you. And then she's like, she starts putting distance and she's like, so like, when are you leaving? What do you mean when am I leaving? As he literally said, and now you get to like have me forever. She made me so mad in that scene. I think that's why I was like, the ending was kind of like just not it for me, because she really, whatever respect I had finally gained for her, because y'all know I did not like Belly half of this season. Whatever respect I gained for her just went out the window.
No, because that scene, I was sitting there, I was like, Belly, you're actually done. I actually hate you. Like, get out of my face. No way, you're crumbling. What? You're crumbling Conrad. Fumbling, that's what I'm trying to say. No way you are fumbling Conrad Fisher right now. Like, are you sick? And I was like, okay. As soon as Conrad said you're stuck with me forever, I said, ooh, she not gonna like that. That scared her a little bit. And I was like, oh, Belly. And I noticed, I was like, oh my god, there's not much left to the episode. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, Jenny Han, like, don't make, I was like, I like saw the theories where people are like, oh my gosh, like Jenny Han's gonna make it where Belly chooses herself at the end. And like, I always like, no, that's stupid. Like, why would she do that? Like, but for a split second, she had me. I said, no way Jenny Han is gonna make Belly choose herself. Like, you're actually kidding me. But then I'm glad though that like it didn't simmer too long and like she came to and like sprinted. I was like, period. I'm like, finally Belly is chasing after him and claiming him, because I feel like Conrad low-key like stood on business, and I'm like, he's always been chasing you, yada yada yada, having to reassure you, but you need to reassure him too that you're not like being weird and stuff, because you did go after his brother too. It takes two to tango for that relationship. So, you know, he might have some trust issues with you too, Belly. So I'm glad that, you know, we finally saw her actually choose Conrad. But yeah, it was very dramatic. The kissing on the train. I was like, people on the train was probably like, ugh, like, can we get this show on the road already? But I don't know. I really loved the ending, and I was just, or that wasn't the ending, but I was like, ah, finally, we're all good.
No, because I also got scared. I was like, there she goes, choosing herself. Like, yes, female empowerment. But no, in this situation, I needed her to choose him. And I will say, I feel like I did like that. I did like that, like, she's finally the one that chose him. Because, like, he's always chosen her, but she's never been, like, in a place to, like, accept it. So I'm really glad that she was finally the one to choose him and everything. And I'm glad that, like, I feel like she just had a lot going on, you know. She knows she wanted and everything. And she did choose him. And I like the whole, like, the running. I will say though, she had like time to like fix her eyeliner and like put on a little pink lip. But anyways, I thought she was gonna run out in like her pajamas or something, but no, she like changed into like some jeans. Yeah, so she had time.
And just a quick little note, because I'm kind of like going back in time, but just like on the same topic of like, you know, Belly like finally choosing him. I also like the growth between both of them, where they were sightseeing and they were just kind of like dancing in front of the, like dancing with the music. And I liked how they were able to kind of like laugh about and like own up to like prom, and like her telling Conrad to basically F off at his mom's funeral. So that's another scene that I just remembered. Like, oh, I kind of like how they could kind of like laugh about it now and like understand each other and like kind of own up to their bad parts of it.
Yeah, I did like that scene. That scene was cute too, with like the, you know, the background and everything. And it was kind of like no hard feelings, like that's in the past, which good, because they finally need to move into the future. So yeah, and then I will say I feel like it was like 5 in the morning, and I feel like these people were definitely like, what is going on? Like the other people on the train, they were like, what's going on with these people? There you go, the Americans. But yeah, and then so then after that, we obviously get like them going back to the cousins and everything. And then it's the, like end where like they're standing out there, and then the camera pans out, and I was like, that's it. Like there's no like 10 minutes left. I didn't even need like a whole, this is like where my issue is kind of like, I didn't need like a whole like, you know, hour of them together or anything. I just wanted like a full circle moment. I feel like we should have got like, okay, like them alone, and then like maybe like the other people like come, like Steven and Taylor holding hands, like the other family, you know, a little reunion for everyone. Because I feel like, yes, this show is Conrad and Belly, but I feel like specifically this season, we really emphasized the other characters, and then we just kind of like didn't see them at the end. I don't know. That's kind of like what my thing was. And then my other like complaint was, I feel like there was just so many like plot holes that were kind of just like, or not plot holes, but just like things with the plot that were just like, I guess, left for your interpretation. But I didn't want my interpretation. I wanted to see it play out. Like Jeremiah, what's he doing? Is he in San Francisco? Is he in Boston? Laurel, what's going on with her and the dad? Though I don't know the dad's name. I like keep on thinking of him. I don't know the dad's name. You know, like those kind of little plot holes. I was like, I wanted like a full circle moment. And while I guess we did get that little Christmas album, I wanted, I guess, maybe a little like recap what happened, because we went to her birthday, to it being, because she said that she didn't go home that summer, right? So I guess it's been like a couple months again. So like, I don't know, quick little recap, you know, a little what's it called? I can't think of the word. What's it when everything's just meshed together and like Zoom?
A montage.
Yes, a montage. A montage of like everyone, where everybody's been, and then you can draw your conclusions from that. Which I guess that's why we're getting the movie. And I hope the movie better show us all of that. That was my like complaint. Like I did like the ending, but I wish that there was more.
See, I think where we differ is because Liz said she doesn't want the interpretation, but for me, I'm like, yeah, I want to interpret it. We're on happy ending. I'm not giving y'all any more time to mess this up, and I'm just gonna live in happy La La Land. And I just loved it because I was like, Belly's back in America. You was saying, no, I was playing. But like, you know, Belly's back from Paris. She's back in Cousins with Conrad. They're happy together. We know that Conrad went out to Paris to spend it with her. Like they're happy, and they're just coming back to the place where it all ended. And I thought that was super cute. But it was so funny because I saw the TikToks. They're like Belly's probably so glad. Like she was so close to losing the beach house. But now she's good. And then they're like, and Denise was plotting, so now she's gonna have the house too. But yeah, I just thought that was like a funny little thing. But I just thought the ending was so cute and like too Scotch Street. Like, you're actually sick. Honestly, those songs hit more to me than like the Taylor Swift songs, honestly. But yeah, I was like, Scott Street, like, you're actually sick, and it was just so good. Like, I could have cried. It was too early to be crying, but like I really could have cried. And like genuinely, if we weren't getting a movie, I would have been happy with that ending, to be honest.
No, because Scott Street was so good. Only thing missing from Scott Street is like the rest of the family personally. But yeah, I thought Scott Street was perfect ending. I did like overall, not gonna lie, like yes, I do like the Taylor Swift songs, but I like that this episode only had one because I feel like sometimes it's like too much of the Taylor Swift songs. I like the little like the mix up that we had this episode. But yeah, you guys, that's it. That's the end of our Summer I Turned Pretty little section. I can't believe it's over until the movie comes out. When the movie comes out, we might need a whole episode. I do wonder though, like, how long is this movie gonna be? Because the episodes are basically almost a movie long, I feel like, because they're like an hour long. So is it only gonna be like 30 more minutes for the movie? And I also wonder, like, what time setting are we getting for the movie? Like, is it years later? Is it a couple months? I guess we'll see. But they better bring their all for this movie.
Yeah, I know Jenny Han said, we have one more milestone, so I assume it's gonna be the wedding. And me and Kelsey were kind of confused because we were like, wait, did they already film the movie? But Jenny Han was saying like, like they just finished like the draft for it, so it's like it's not like even finished being written. So I assume obviously they haven't filmed them because we're like, well, we've seen all these social media stuff and like outfits that we haven't seen. So I don't know if those are just like from scenes that were cut or just kind of like social media clips or stuff like that. Cause like I remember we saw Jeremiah in Paris, so I'm like, I guess maybe that's a storyline they decided to cut out, or maybe they're tricking us and they're like, oh, haha, we actually do have a movie, but we're just keeping it from them. I don't know, but I assume it's gonna be all about the wedding and just like everyone just kind of coming together for the last time. I assume we're just gonna see more about Denise and Jeremiah, Stephen and Taylor, like their life out in San Francisco, and seeing Jeremiah's cooking career, blah blah blah. Hopefully, the dad and Laura are together, and hopefully, Adam is still single. Which is another note I forgot to add. I'm glad Kaylee left him. Like, period.
Yeah, about time. Adam needs to focus on himself, I feel. He needs a little alone individual time too. I was gonna say something, but I can't think of what it was. So
So, with that being said, that concludes our last The Summer I Turned Pretty recap, literally ever. We will have the movie, but it won't be the same. But now we're gonna get into our song of the week. So, my song of the week is a rap song, of course. If you're on TikTok, you know the song. But it's called Take Me Through There by Metro Boomin and a whole bunch of other people that I don't feel like naming because everybody and their mamas is on that song. But it's that song where it's like, oh, that wham in a circle, and it has a little dance to it. That's been my bop for when I'm like working out.
and then my song of the week is Scott Street by Phoebe Bridgers. It's only right that I do that song. But also if you guys are looking for like a fall like playlist, definitely check out Phoebe Bridgers, especially like Scott Street's a good route to start because it's just the perfect vibes for the fall season.
So now we're going to get into the topic of our episode, and that is things we don't understand, part 2. So basically this episode, the first episode, is basically inspired by the What We Said podcast with Chelsea and JC, where that's where I got the idea from. So we stole it. Thank you. No, I was playing. We give credit where it's due over here, but basically we just literally just look up 2 random topics that we've wondered and we didn't understand, and then we kind of do like put our researcher hats on, we look it up, and we're going to share our findings with you guys today. We have 2 things each, and this should make for a interesting conversation. I don't even know what Elizabeth's are. I haven't scrolled down that far, so this will be a surprise for me.
I can go ahead and get us started. So my first one, hold on, let me scroll a little bit. We have some research on here today, you guys. Okay, my first one is cameras. How are cameras able to capture stuff? Because, even just like a regular camera, a film camera, your phone, like FaceTime, how does all that stuff kind of work? Because it's literally just a screen. So how is it projecting it on the other side? So the basic concept is that a camera captures light from a scene and turns it into an image. And so then the breakdown of how it works. So first there's light from the scene. Everything you see reflects in light. That light enters the camera through a small opening called the lens. And then step 2 is the lens focuses the light. So the lens bends or focuses the light so it forms a clear image. It's like how a magnifying glass can focus sunlight to a point. That in and of itself doesn't quite make sense to me because like I understand the whole light stuff, but like what do you mean? You know, you get the light, but then how do you get the image? But anyways, step 3 is the sensor or film captures the light. So if it's film, it depends if it's like a film camera, and then the sensor is as if it were like a digital camera, like your phone or any of that kind of stuff. That's what I understood. But it says in digital cameras, there's a sensor, like a tiny grid that catches the light and turns it into electrical signals. And then in a film camera, the light hits the film, which changes chemically to store the image. So it's like stored on the film, I guess, and then when you like develop it with the light and everything, that displays the image for like a film camera. And then, so that's like basically the whole process of it. And then the dumbed down answer is a camera is like an eye, like your eyeball. So light goes in through a lens, it gets focused, it hits something, which is either the sensor or the film, and then that saves what the camera sees. But that still just doesn't make sense to me. And like the more I looked into it, it was all talking about the light. Like I understand the whole process with the light and how like light is reflected, and that's what you get in your camera, but that still doesn't make sense to me. I don't know if that's just like me, being nitpicky, but the more I like looked it up, I wasn't getting the answers that I wanted because it's still not making sense. What do you mean the camera is able to see that? And then the whole other thing, because then I started like researching some more about this. It got into like I was like, okay, well then how does like FaceTime work? And that was just a whole other question in and of itself. So maybe that'll be like a part 3 for later on or something, because it was talking about the camera in the FaceTime call and then like how that reflects onto the other side. Yeah, technology just doesn't make sense to me personally.
Yeah, see, Liz's explanation, the first half, I was trying to be there. I was trying to have her back from right here. And then she said, here's the dumbed down version. So I was like, okay, period, I'm gonna get this. Did it? Did it? Cause what do you mean? Like Liz said, what do you mean? Like I'm just confused. Like how are you capturing this certain moment right now? Like that doesn't make sense to me. Like what?
Exactly. And then I started kind of like going into the deep hole of like film and like, okay, like, cause when you apparently, when you go through like an x-ray machine, it can mess up the film and everything. That made so much more sense to me than all of this stuff because that basically is like, so the film needs to be developed with like light and all that stuff. And the x-ray is a form of that. So too much of it. And then like the brightness can like clear out the image or whatever. That makes sense, but this stuff, it makes no sense. Like yeah. The more I looked, the more confused I got because I would look up dumbed down explanations, and it was talking about the eyes, and then it was talking about like think about it this way. I'm just gonna use a camera as I know to use it, and just not think about it too much.
That part. And then my first topic that I was confused about, I didn't understand was when people mow lawns, how do they make the grass two different colors? So random. And shout out Home Depot because that is where I got all this information. So first I'm gonna look up, or I'm gonna tell you guys the science behind it. So it says a blade of grass has two sides. One side is lighter than the other side. When you mow grass and bend it one way, you'll see its dark side. When you bend it the other way, you'll see its light side. When sunlight reflects off blades of grass that are bent in different directions, the light and dark lawn stripes are created. So I feel like that kind of, makes sense. Like I assume the little blades, like they're going to cut the grass a certain way, each way you kind of go. So that's why it looks like two different colors. And so now how you actually do this. So if anyone out there wants to do this, listen up. So if you want to do a straight line, just like one stripe light, one stripe dark green. So to make a stripe pattern, oh, okay, hold on, I read that wrong. Okay, make a stripe pattern by turning around and cutting a straight line in an opposite direction from an adjacent line. So obviously, going up and down, up and down. For the straightest lawn stripping, find a straight driveway or path to follow. Mow the first stripe parallel to it. When you come to the end of that stripe, make a tight turn with your mower or raise the mower deck. Mow the next row in the opposite direction. If your marks are noticeable, finish by mowing a final strip around the edge of the yard to cover them up. So basically, you get the different colors by your mowing a strip of grass two different directions. Now, if you want to get really fancy and make it checkered, this is what you could do. For checkerboard striping or cross pattern striping, first follow the directions to make a complete set of straight lawn stripes as shown in step 3. Once your straight rows are finished, lift the mower deck and turn to mow a second set of stripes at right angles to the first. Finish by mowing a strip down the perimeter of the yard to hide any turn marks. So I know Elizabeth be out there mowing the lawn. So you guys, she's gonna be making these fancy little patterns now.
I don't know about the checkered one, but I do like the straight one, like the back and forth with my dad. I never thought about that, but that makes sense. Your explanation actually makes sense. I kind of thought of it like those bath mats that are like soft, and like if you like run your fingers on it, it's like smooth one way, but if you do it the opposite way, it's not rough, but it's like darker. That's kind of how I imagined when you were explaining, like when you cut one way, it's gonna do one side of the grass and then the other way. That actually made sense. I hadn't thought about that before, but the more you know.
Yeah, and it also reminds me of like vacuuming a carpet too, because sometimes it's like you can see like the vacuum lines. So I kind of think of that as like mowing as well.
Wow. My mind's actually kind of blown, I'm not gonna lie. And then my next one, you guys, traffic. Specifically, why don't cars just like go? Yeah, that was my question. I'll give you guys the explanations. So basically, traffic is the movement of vehicles on roads, specifically when it slows down or gets crowded. And then there's many reasons, but then these are like the primary reasons. It's first, there's too many cars and not enough road, which causes for cars to not be able to go and move freely. The next one is stop and go driving, which is when one person brakes and the person behind them brakes, and then it just kind of continues like a domino effect. And then next thing you know, everybody's braked and stopped moving. And then for that one, it doesn't mean that there's an accident or like a blockage has to be present. It's just someone like breaks. So it might be like, someone cuts you off and then you break and it just kind of continues down. And then the next reason or explanation, I guess, is traffic lights and intersections. So like red lights and stop signs that can like cause traffic. And then, of course, accidents in road work, rush hour, tailgating, not merging early. And then I'd never heard of this term, but rubbernecking, which is slowing down to look at accidents. I am very, very much guilty of this. If I see any sirens out, I will slow down and break my neck to look. But yeah, so then it's basically said that you don't need a lot of cars for traffic. It can be just like one person that causes it. So then I understand how traffic works. But my thing that I still don't understand is why don't they just like go, Because especially in situations when there's no accident, like, and I even looked up the scenario. I was like, okay, so it's like perfect. There's like perfect road, no like potholes, there's nothing. Why is there still traffic? I just don't understand. Like, why don't they just like go or like move over? It's just people like deliberately creating the traffic. Because I know I've had this happen to me like when I've been driving. Specifically, I was thinking more like on like interstates and stuff, not so much like in town. Because I feel like in town it's easier for there to be traffic with like lights and stuff. But when you're like on an interstate and you're driving, there's absolutely nothing. And then it's just like a line of cars slowed down. And then you get to the point where you're like, oh, here's where the accident's gonna be, and there's literally nothing. So I just don't understand how like it goes from being traffic to then there's a point where it just kind of like opens up and everybody just keeps on going, but nothing in the road has changed. But the more research I did, it was just saying like it can just be like a person, or like a semi or something. I just feel like my answers were not sufficient for me today.
Yeah, when you were talking, I was wondering. I'm like, so how does like literal like you're not moving at all traffic happen then if there's like not a wreck? I definitely can see how like, oh yeah, there's too many cars on the road because I feel like we've all had those interstates or whatever in our respective states where it's like, oh, they've been working on this, like trying to expand it. Like I definitely can see that, but like how could one person just cause just like traffic for miles and then it's like all of a sudden clear? Like that's so crazy.
Yeah, that's what I was just specifically imagining those scenarios where like, okay, if it's one person like going slower, but like they don't even move lanes. Like they say what they're doing and then out of nowhere it just like opens up. And it's not necessarily that there's like another lane that opened up that like cars can like pass or anything, or that the person moved. It just kind of like stops. Yeah. That just will never make sense to me. And I guess I don't know. I guess there's no solution really because it's user error, but still.
And then our last little thing we didn't understand for this episode for me is the process of how scent triggers memories. And I got my information from Harvard Medicine. Shout out, because I literally got all my information from them. At first, we're gonna take a little history lesson, so buckle up. So I learned that the phrase "What can you do with your nose?" is kind of controversial. Many scientists just thought of scent as kind of like our animalistic, like natural characteristics, but a psychologist and professor named David Lard posed this question in a paper in 1935. And it was one of the first studies exploring links between odor and memory. And so he conducted studies, and he would basically like ask people to like record moments in which smell spurred flashbacks. And so an example they say is one participant, the son of a sawmill worker, reported that the smell of sawdust brought on a series of vivid pictures so graphic that for the moment I lived the scenes again. And just like the mere sight of sawdust in contrast fell flat. So when he smelled it, it like took him back to like that moment. But when he just saw it, it didn't have any effect. And so then it just kind of led to psychologists, I guess researchers asking like, can scent be an avenue to the mind? And so now into actually how smell triggers memory. I still kind of don't understand it because it's very sciencey, but you guys will hear. So allegedly, this power lies within our evolutionary origins. Our ancient ancestors relied on smell to build a map of their surroundings and remember where they've been. The human nose houses hundreds of odor receptors, each primed to interact with specific subsets of odor molecules. When those molecules waft into the nose and bind to their matching receptors, it's like a key being inserted into a lock, and brain cells called olfactory sensory neurons. I remember that from medical terminology. Fire electrical signals along axons to different parts of the brain, and the signals make a quick stop in the olfactory bulb before traveling to key areas of the brain involved in learning, emotion, and memory. The olfactory or preformed cortex, which identifies smell, the amygdala which is involved in generating emotion, and the hippocampus, which stores and organizes memory. If the hippocampus deems the smell important, if it were connected with a particularly emotional moment, or for example, for a particularly emotional moment, for example, it can file the information and store it indefinitely. Even decades later, the same scent can bring the memory and emotion salience of the moment flooding back. So what I took from that was basically we smell something, our nose, like our brain kind of takes that as a memory, and then our brain stores that scent with that memory. And then it also says sight, sounds, and other sensory information must first travel through the brain's thalamus before reaching the amygdala or whatever and the hippocampus. In contrast, the olfactory system is positioned right next to them, appearing to have essentially evolved to hardwire information to these memory and emotion centers. This could explain why studies have found that when compared with memories triggered by other senses, odor evoked memories tend to be more emotional or more likely to extend earlier back in one's life. So I think our wherever the memory in our brain is really connected to where our scent gets stored. So that's why they're very interconnected. But I just have always wondered that because for me, scent like really does like trigger memories. Like it takes me back. Scent and music. But like scent, like I can smell something and it's like I'm back there. Like it's like I've had to throw away some perfumes because I'm like, I cannot do that. Like this original Glossier perfume, it just took me back to like when my first semester at WKU, and I was like, it took me a while to like rewear that perfume again, and just like it like takes me back so vividly. And just like even when I smell like some scents, I'm like, oh, like this smells like my childhood. Like there's some sense I'm like this smells like my mom when I was younger. Like she would like wear like perfumes and stuff that smell this way. So it is like really crazy how like scent like really like can like affect someone like that.
When you were explaining, I was also thinking of like the backwards effect of that, of like words, how like words can trigger something. Because like when you were saying like hippocampus, I was thinking of the band Hippocampus, and how I haven't listened to that band in years, but that one word like triggered that in me. So I guess it's kind of similar with like words too. But yeah, there's definitely some sense that you don't want to remember that just I feel like are engraved in your memory. And now we need to know how to get like how to lose that connection in your brain, because I feel like some sense I'll like smell someone walking by and I'm like, oh, don't need to remember that one.
No, that part. So that'll be in part 3. We'll figure out how to get rid of that.
And that, if you guys made it this far into the episode, that is the end of this week's episode. Make sure you guys are following us on all of our socials. Yeah, the TikTok and the Instagram, they'll be popping off, as Kimmy said in the beginning of this episode. So continue to follow those, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye. Don't forget to read the book club book.